Dr. Irfan Akpan here. I hope you're having a great week so far. I'm continuing my series on where I react to I wanted to say Dr. David Andre, to David Andre. And I think right now I follow quite a few AI individuals, but he's one that I follow closely. And the reason I follow, he's very, very brilliant guy, but I follow him closely because he has some very interesting guests who come to his page. And I think it's very good that we talk about it and share a lot of the insights that they give.
Is kind of thrown on its head.
AI makes high agency intelligent people look really good. It makes dumb, low agency people look worse.
The percentage of time that you spend on engineering the markdown should be higher than the percentage of time that you spend on actually executing the code.
At a point very soon, no one, including all engineers, will read code or write code.
This is Alex Lieberman, the co-founder of Morning Brew and 10x. And he's joined by Dan, the director of engineering at 10x. In this podcast, we talk about how any company can become AI native, why markdown files are worth more than your code, and what is the last remaining moat that AI won't kill. If you want to see how people on the cutting edge of AI actually work, watch until the end. This is the David Andre podcast. Enjoy. Alex and Dan, I have a question. How do you take a company that's old and slow moving and make it AI native?
I think the answer to the question is kind of like, how do you take anyone who has a set of existing context and get them to do something different? And the answer is meet a company where they're at, where their systems are at, where their people are at, where they are in their AI transformation journey. Because if you were to reimagine what a consulting business for Fortune 2000 companies looks like in 2026, it has to be a full stack partner. Like historically, some of these biggest consultancies in the world only did one thing. They only would basically be told a problem. You would have a group of consultants and their manager work on a solution to that problem as a slide deck for a few months. They'd meet up with the client. They would deliver the solution via this 150-page deck. They'd give them the deck and they'd say, okay, peace out. See you guys later. And then the client would rely on having to solve the problem themselves. Our view is, in a post-AI world, you need to touch every part of the value chain in a company's transformation, developing their strategy, doing non-engineering work to drive change management and everything that needs to happen around the tech to actually make the tech valuable, and then actually forward deploying into a company. To your question, there are a lot of companies, a lot of Fortune 500 businesses where the first thing we do is literally taking their C-suite or their executive leadership team and teaching them how to use Claude Cowork or Claude Code. And then for other companies who come to us and say, hey, we want to build back office agents for invoicing, AR, AP, HR, et cetera, we go and we meet them where they're at with that problem. So really it's like, how do you decrease the friction to as close to zero as humanly possible?
I see. So I guess that's one of the biggest.
I think this is a very good point, and I think this is what I saw in another interview where they were talking about the biggest opportunity with AI are these solution engineers. And I think that's key. At this point, there's not a cookie cutter solution. So you have to meet someone or a business or an individual where they are and then work with them, as he said, to reduce as much friction as possible. Another way, the way I see that is becoming as efficient as possible with the existing workflows that you have, and then building on that and evolving forward that way instead of wiping the slate clean and then creating all new infrastructure and processes. In that case, you can, I think, meeting a business where it's at, you can actually measure or quantify having the AI and what it's doing and how it's improving and empowering the organization. The downside of that is I believe you'll start to see where there's synergies or overlaps, or where you may not need as many people. And I think really what I think is happening is that that's appearing And you see that where before we might have needed, we talk about a consulting firm, you might have needed 3 associates to really handle a specific workload. But now through efficiency, with AI, now you can have 2 associates to handle that same workload. So you don't need that third. The third is great, but you don't need to have that third. So if one of those associates leave, there's no need to hire a new associate because of that capacity has increased for those 2. And then unless there's more scale, so there's more work, the bar goes higher to justify hiring a new associate versus adding that more work to the 2 existing associates. The other thing that happens is the more and more you use AI, not only does it's going to instantly make you efficient, but you become more efficient in using the tools. The other thing to factor in is that the way the tools work, they scale. So at one point we had the LLMs, now we have the agents, we have swarms of agents. So as we're using it, it's also, the technology is also scaling. So that threshold to have that next employee that bar gets higher and higher and higher. Because now you can keep those 2 employees, and eventually you may only need 1 employee, or for redundancy you have 2, or the amount of business workload you can do increases so much, but those 2 employees are able to handle it.
Separators of like an average consultant where he like gives you something and then you have to figure it out, and a great consultant that like, you know, helps you implement it. What are some other things? Because a lot of people want to be an AI consultant. You know, if people tried starting AI consultancy in 24, 25.
Yeah.
What are some other separators?
I would say Arman, my co-founder and co-managing partner, and myself, we did not dream of being consultants. Like neither of us are consultants. Our actual vision for 10X is we want to build a modern day Bell Labs, and for different reasons. I have realized about myself, if I'm not home with my wife, my daughter, doing something else, it has to be worth it. And to me, worth it means solving really hard problems that are on the frontier of technology with the smartest, most driven people I've ever worked with. For Arman, I think it was in high school or college, he read a book called The Innovators. The Innovators, it's an exceptional book, talks about the history of computing, literally from Charles Babbage and Ava Lovelace all the way to effectively AI. And in this book, it talks about the arc of innovation and what were the raw materials that made kind of these centers for innovation successful, whether it was Bell Labs with the transistor, whether it was DARPA with the internet, whether it was Xerox PARC. And the short answer is the entire time it is effectively brilliant people who are given a great deal of autonomy, but they are given direction, distribution, and resources. And so what we basically said is, if we want to have all 5 of those ingredients, and we do not desire to raise hundreds of millions of dollars from the start, how do we do that? And elegantly, the answer starts looking like helping the biggest companies in the world solve their hardest problems with AI. By solving these problems, enterprises are telling us their biggest challenges that they're navigating within their business. They are paying us to do so. We're cash flowing the business. So our view is, in helping enterprises end up on the right side of history, we are getting all the raw materials we need to effectively build an applied AI lab where we incubate some of the most consequential technologies in a post-AI world.
I see.
Token maxing is where your company encourages you to spend as much money as you
What they're doing is very interesting because
possibly can on AI. And it turns out
help these businesses through their consulting and then take what they're learning from the consulting and use that to create products or to move their own labs.
Seedance 2.5 just came out.
As well. So I think that's something to think about as well, about how you're using AI, the information you're getting, and then transferring that into these problems, because they're going in to solve problems, and then they're looking for a way to, actually, I'll end it on this. They're looking for a way to solve problems and then take those solutions and they can sell those solutions. So I think that's a brilliant idea. And I think I'll end on that. What do you think about that? Is that how things are going to move as far as AI consulting? I'd like to know what you think in the comments. If you like this content, follow David Andre and make sure you like and subscribe me as well. I'd love to hear what you think.